Yo, we back. That means if you're watching me, you're supporting me, and I appreciate that. I want to ask if you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get to it. What's up, family? Back again. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. J. Krishnamurti.
I plan to stop the chemical, physical, and emotional mutilation of our youth. On day one, I will revoke Joe Biden's cruel policies on so-called gender-affirming care. Ridiculous. A process that includes giving kids puberty blockers, mutating their physical appearance, and ultimately performing surgery on minor children. Can you believe this?
Yeah.
I will sign a new executive order instructing every federal agency to cease all programs that promote the concept of sex and gender transition at any age. I will then ask Congress to permanently stop federal taxpayer dollars from being used to promote or pay for these procedures and pass a law prohibiting child sexual mutilation in all 50 states. It'll go very quickly. I will declare that any hospital or healthcare provider that participates in the chemical or physical mutilation of minor youth will no longer meet federal health and safety standards for Medicaid and Medicare and will be terminated from the program immediately. Furthermore, I will support the creation of a private right of action for victims to sue doctors who have unforgivably performed these procedures on minor children. The Department of Justice will investigate Big Pharma and the big hospital networks to determine whether they have deliberately covered up horrific long-term side effects of sex transitions in order to get rich at the expense of vulnerable patients, in this case, very vulnerable. We will also investigate whether Big Pharma or others have illegally marketed hormones and puberty blockers which are in no way licensed or approved for this use. My Department of Education will inform states and school districts that if any teacher or school official suggests to a child that they could be trapped in the wrong body, they will be faced with severe consequences, including potential civil rights violations for sex discrimination and the elimination of federal funding. As part of our new credentialing body for teachers, we will promote positive education about the nuclear family, the roles of mothers and fathers, and celebrating rather than erasing the things that make men and women different and unique. I will ask Congress to pass a bill establishing that the only genders recognized by the United States government are male and female, and they are assigned at birth. The bill will also make clear that Title IX prohibits men from participating in women's sports, and we will protect the rights of parents from being forced to allow their minor child to assume a gender which is new and an identity without the parents' consent. The identity will not be new, and it will not be without parental consent. No serious country should be telling its children that they were born with the wrong gender, a concept that was never heard of in all of human history. Nobody's ever heard of this, what's happening today. It was all when the radical left invented it just a few years ago. Under my leadership, this madness will end. Thank you very much.
Yo. Now, talk about striking a blow for the common man. Yes. Talk about striking a blow for the old timers like myself. Yes. If it seems like I'm happy about this, I am. This is what I voted for, to be honest. I read that quote in the beginning. Let me read it again. Shout out to Zoe Williams at the Zoe What show. I found out about Zoe. I started watching Zoe when I was watching the Corey Holcomb 5150 show. He's a very smart guy, and he quotes great philosophers all the time. And he gives you great information all the time. And like I said, let me read that quote again. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. One more time. It is no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. Now, I learned that quote from Zoe Williams back in like 2018, I would say, when I was driving for Amazon back then. And I used to listen to the podcast all the time, to keep me going. But what that quote, why I keep reading that, why I read that twice, and how it relates to what Donald Trump just said to me is, let me add one more piece. All through the Kamala Harris campaign, all you heard was, we're not going back. We're not going back. So I guess what you were saying was, you're not going back to not having men in the bathroom with women. You're not going back to men competing in women's sports. You're not going back to having a say in what happens to your child gender-wise, especially when it comes to him talking to people outside of the home, school teachers, counselors, those type of people, anybody. So you don't want to go back to a time when we had these controls. And you don't want to go back to a time when a woman was cool with competing against women, okay? And that's not what you want to go back to, because you said we're not going back, and they playing some type of song, freedom, freedom, I can't move. I don't understand that one still. But you're saying you're not going back, okay? But to me, when I hear you say you're not going back, I hear you saying you want to stay in a profoundly sick society. You want to stay adjusted to this profoundly sick society, this new adjustment. You heard Donald Trump say this just came up a few years ago. So you want to be down with all this, and I've been saying this for years. I didn't try to like coin no phrase and I just started saying it, and it was a phrase that I used. Y'all forgive me. When certain things would happen, I would say that's that new nigga shit. Because to me that wasn't how I was raised. That wasn't the things I was seeing. That wasn't wasn't the perspective I was supposed to grow up and have. You know what I mean? And that perspective that I was speaking about in those instances were a perspective of new people. Think about this. About 20, maybe 30 years ago, I was told that the population of a city doubles every 35 years. So add that to when I say that's that new nigga shit, okay? That's those new people out here. Those ones who think it's cool for a man to go in a female restroom. Those are new people. Those ain't the people I grew up around. Those aren't the people who raised me, because those people don't want a man in the restroom with a woman, okay? So you're not going back. You're not going back. Well, Trump say we going back, and I'm down with what he talking about right now. You feel me? If you watch to the end, I appreciate you guys. It's going to be some fragrance reviews coming up on the channel real soon. More than just the one I put up in a few minutes. But that's where we at for now. I appreciate your time. Catch you on the next one. Salute.